Hello and welcome to Hima Council's Makala podcast. Makala means branches ka Sesotho, and on this podcast, we hope to journey with you hand in hand like the branches of a tree. My name is Amanda Masondo and I'm your host. We hope this podcast finds a way to impact, educate, and inspire your next. We are on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, and Buzzsprout, basically everywhere where you find your podcast fix every first and last Friday of every month. Hello and welcome to Hima Council's Makala podcast. I am your host, Amanda Masondo. As per usual, welcome home. Welcome to the evolution. Welcome to the fastest growing entrepreneurial podcast in the country. I'm not even kidding. The numbers don't lie. You can go check it out, like and subscribe so that you can be part of the movement, the cult. We're moving. We're doing amazing work. My guest today is no exception to the rule. She's also a trailblazer in her own right, doing a lot of amazing work, and she's going to tell us all about it. My guest today is Caron. Kganyago. She is the founder of the Throne Agency. Hello, Caron.
Hello, thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming. It took a while, but we made it.
I thank you for your patience, and I'm very happy and very excited to be here today.
I'm very excited as well. Okay, you did not always have an agency. You were not always a founder of a business. Where did it all start from you? Take us through your journey.
You know, I think just going back to my teens, I was someone who was always passionate and always driven. And I always had this dream about becoming an editor, publication editor. And back then, and I mean, I'm 35 now, so this was a very, very, very long time ago that I was a teenager. And honestly, back then, you just didn't see Black women in South Africa who were in positions where they were editors of fashion publications or any publications, let alone owners of publications. You know, so that's a dream I had for a few years. I started out being a writer, and then when I got to my 20s, I fell into advertising, and the dream then formed within me to, or the desire to want to be an agency owner as well. That's where it started. I worked in advertising for a number of years. I worked for like a few really reputable agencies, and after a few years, that entrepreneurship bug and the drive and the ambition just never left me. I just felt
kept calling you home.
Completely, and I just felt like there was a desire for something bigger. And that's when about 6 years ago, I did the jump and I started my agency and my publication.
Okay, but let's go back.
Okay.
You did a fast forward. There's no way. There's somewhere you went to. You were definitely a primary school girl, you went to all of that. Where did you grow up? So people must know that even as we have this girl from our hood, we know her, we've seen her.
So I am a Polokwane girl. I am from PLK, from Limpopo. I grew up there. I spent the first 10 years of my life there. And it's a very, very small town. It's a very small town. And you don't see or hear a lot of stories of people who, back then at least, about people who really made it. And then when I was 10, we moved to Cape Town. Okay. And that was just a new experience. And it
culture shock.
Absolutely.
Different world.
But it was beautiful. I loved it. I was exposed to different races and religions. I was then kind of exposed to hip hop as well, which is like a first love, and also set the foundation of what I ended up doing in my career. I did primary school in Cape Town. I did my high school in Cape Town. I did part of my varsity in Cape Town as well, and part of it in Polokwane. And that's kind of where
it all began.
Caron, yes.
Okay, that's so cute. Polokwane and Cape Town. I've never heard of that actually, that history, that story. No one ever goes from Polokwane to
Cape Town. Yeah, completely. And then back again to Polokwane.
Nice that you did.
And then back to Cape Town and then to Joburg. So no, it's been a journey.
Why didn't you come to Joburg sooner? You don't want to come to us.
Listen, you have to be prepared for Joburg.
Fair.
Joburg needs a thick skin. Polokwane people are very polite, and we're nice people. We love each other. It's not Game of Thrones in Polokwane. So I wasn't prepared.
We also love us here in Joburg. What's going on? We also love us here. But fair enough. Okay. Happy. So I'm happy with this. Now we have context.
Yeah.
Right? We have context, and now we know where it all began. Now you worked at an agency.
Yes.
Right? Tell me some of the things that you think you've picked up working for somebody else versus now starting your own thing. What are some of the things that you think corporate actually assists you in some ways for you to be
100%.
able to start your own thing? What were some of those things?
I mean, honestly, I think a lot of entrepreneurs nowadays, or aspiring entrepreneurs, want to skip that step, you know, and I think obviously our journeys are different, but for me, it was a critical part of my journey. That was the foundation that taught me everything. The ambition was there, the drive was there, the ideas and the creativity, but I needed the understanding of how an agency actually operates. And I feel like, you know, it was school to me, literally, you know, the 5-6 years that I spent at agency, understanding how strategy works, how you build a client, how you come up with creative ideas, but you package it in a way that it's sellable to a client, how you put campaigns together, and marketing ideas. So I moved around a few agencies, and I think I learned different things from all those agencies. Some were tougher than others, you know, but it really was the foundation that I built my whole business on, and I think it was critical for all the knowledge that I have now.
Yeah, okay. So based on what you knew then, what did you think entrepreneur is, and what do you think it was, and what do you think it is now? Now that you're inside.
That is a good question. That is a really good question. I think, you know, almost this dream that's sold that comes with entrepreneurship, it is romanticized a little bit, you know. You don't hear the true gritty stories of what actually happens behind the scenes. And I think I did fall into that a little bit. You know, it's romanticized, you think it's creative, and it's, you know, you're following your passion and all those great things, but there are a lot of very real experiences that come with that. So I think in the years that I have been an entrepreneur, it's been a sobering experience, and it has also just balanced out the things that I kind of didn't understand before. You know, there are things that are like, just like, again, running teams, managing people. That's a very, very complex thing. And you need the day-to-day experience to actually understand what that is, how to manage your cash flow as a business as well. You're going to have seasons where it's super, super busy and campaigns are pouring in. And then you're going to have seasons where it is quiet. And how do you manage your cash flow throughout all those seasons? So I think those are the things that I've learned as well, and I needed to understand in the journey that I am now as an entrepreneur.
Yeah. Fair enough. Okay, let's talk about the Throne Agency.
Yes.
Give me your elevator pitch. If somebody is asking you today, what is this about? Who is the Throne?
Oh, Amanda, no pressure.
Yeah, what are these shows called? The Den and
yes, you've been the shark today.
I'm one of the sharks. Give it to me.
Okay, so I'm the founder of the Throne Agency. The Throne Agency is a digital publication. It is also a social media management, social media strategy, content production, and talent management agency, and we do influencer marketing as well.
Okay. That's another thing I wanted to get to, influencer marketing, the buzzword of the 21st century. Tell us how a lot of people think it's just taking pictures or shooting a video and hoping that somebody picks it up somewhere, and then suddenly you've got a deal.
Exactly.
You know, an ambassador deal of some kind. Give us the nitty-gritty of actually what actually entails for you to be in that kind of industry.
So, I mean, first thing, for people who are content creators or full-time influencers, it is a job. It literally is a job. There is a level of glamour that is kind of sold and what it looks like from the outside, but it really is a lot of work that comes into it. There's art direction, there's creative direction, there's production that comes into it, there's styling that comes into it, there's conceptualization, there's the financial part of it. You still have to be managing your taxes and pay that as a freelancer. You need to understand if you're working as, you know, Amanda, as an individual, are you, registering a business and then doing your content creation or influencer marketing under a business, and then how do you build clients? Are you taxing clients? So it is very, very, very involved. And then you've been entrusted by a brand that's saying, Amanda, I am brand A, B, or C. Can you do this campaign? If you make a mistake in your personal capacity, you are liable for that. So there is a lot that is involved. You know, it does look really great and really fun, and it is a great opportunity I love it for youth, I love it for creatives, because I think it does expand the economy and what people can do, but it is, you know, it is a responsibility, and it is a big job in itself.
Okay, so take us through the various facets of your organization, right? You spoke about an agency, you spoke about, like, give us the whole, each department and what they do, and people who are coming inside who want to acquire some of the skills, what they'd be getting from it.
Okay, so how the business is structured, when I started the business, I was in a position where people knew who I was in my personal capacity. Caron had like credibility, but the throne didn't have any credibility at all. So I needed to think about, how do I prove myself? How do we build a portfolio for ourselves where we don't have clients yet? So the business was then divided in the agency and the publication. And the publication was used as almost an opportunity to build a portfolio, to show clients what we are capable of doing. So it was very strategic, So number one, we get an audience. You're able to sell that audience to a client as well for campaigns. A client can book campaigns there. But more than anything, it's showing that as an agency, we can produce covers, we can produce content, we can do video content, whatever it is, we can conceptualize, all of this. So that's why that was actually developed. It was very strategic. And then with the agency itself is the different departments where you are able to, if you're a brand that wants to do social media in-house with us as an agency, you're able to do that. If you want to do strategy with us, we're able to do that. If it's running an influencer campaign from end to end, whether it's conceptualization, outsourcing influencers, doing the post-campaign reports for that, doing the finance portion for that as well. We do all of that as well. So I think it's an opportunity for clients to hand over whatever portion that they're comfortable with, and for us to run, but come in with ideas that are creative, that are innovative. I think that the great thing about myself and the agency is that we're not just a large agency that's disconnected with audiences. We're part of that audience. It's a lived experience for us. So the insight is very, very real and is a lived experience.
Okay. So if I am a content creator or aspiring influencer, if I come into the throne,
yes,
what are some of the skills that I would be able to obtain using the agency?
So I think for us, what we wanted to do to differentiate ourselves is not just being an admin, in terms of like the influencers that we do manage. So when you come in, we're doing strategy for you, we're rebranding you, that we want to package you in a way that you understand that you are a brand. What are you offering? That you need to walk and package yourself as, as a brand. We help you with everything that's legal. So everything from negotiating, we have in-house legal where we're going to negotiate that as well for you. For your finances as well, we help you structure. So we're going to negotiate with brands. We're going to, assist you in how you pay as a freelancer, how do you navigate that as well. We're going to help you come up with content ideas. So if you are Amanda, it's not just about getting brand deals, that's part of it, but how do you build properties around yourself? How do you build, a podcast or write a book or, approach a client to say, okay, how do I collaborate to do a cooking line with you and take a percentage of that? It goes beyond simply doing a brand campaign and getting a once-off fee. It's like, how do you add longevity to yourself and structure yourself as a business?
You see, now I'm a summer my candle bosses. I should have come to you first. Now I'm too inside to be out.
Yeah, but you're killing it. You're doing amazing. We love it.
And that's a legal representative. And that's what I needed.
Yeah,
okay.
Take your IP, that's so important.
It is. And I think that's the one thing that always, in South Africa, it's always a discussion later on.
Absolutely.
In hindsight, where you're having people now having to fight for their IP post the contracts that they've already signed.
Now it's trending on Twitter. It's awkward. It's,
we won't mention names. Big corporates that don't want to give other children their money. It's too much. Okay, that's fair enough. Give us some of the challenges that you've experienced so long on your journey, right? You mentioned before that actually working corporate gave you some kind of some lessons that you were able to pick up. But entrepreneurship is a different field altogether.
100%.
And you have to learn that industry in its own right.
100%.
Give me some of the things that you think really were a struggle, and in hindsight you feel they shouldn't have been, and some things that you felt actually this was actually easier than I thought.
Okay, so I think to start with the challenges portion, I think there have been a few pivotal challenges for the business. Number one, COVID happened, and I think that was something that a lot of people just were not prepared for. Like, we didn't know how do you then structure or survive. At businesses were literally just trying to survive. So I think that was one aspect of the business, and the kind of learning from that was how you pivot really quickly in a, like do or die crisis. So that was a big challenge and a big learning there. I think the other challenges as well, just for myself, like I am a single mother. And I had my son during COVID in 2020. And then number one, on the one hand, trying to survive, this pandemic that's happening, and then having the experience of being a first-time mom and being an entrepreneur, at the same time. And I think that's something a lot of people don't speak about because it does impact the business. It literally does. So again, it was like, okay, then how do I build the support around myself? I needed the support structure, and it's something that I never considered before because it was just Caron. So it was that, okay, how do I then build a support structure around myself that I'm still able to be present for the business, but still also fulfill my role as a mom in the time that my son obviously, needed me the most. And I think other challenges as well is The Throne is a 100% Black female-owned agency. There aren't a lot of female-owned agency, and there aren't a lot of Black, completely female-owned agency, and we are independent as well. So when you are an independent agency and you are smaller, you are up against agencies that are much bigger. They are funded, they are resourced, they have the capacity to take on large and big projects, and they have the capacity to take certain knocks and challenges that come. So it was just learning that as well. Okay, how do I or us as an agency stand up against, our competitors or bigger agencies, and the idea of like just collaboration and reaching out and partnering with agencies or other small businesses that we have synergy with or like share values with. So it was just trying to be solution based with those challenges and trying to find, kind of what works for us and then how we overcome these challenges.
Okay, let's talk about that, because a lot of entrepreneurs that sit where you are sitting talk about the lack of collaboration, right? Yeah. Even just at whether it's for entrepreneur versus government and the lack of funding, the lack of assistance on that end, but even just entrepreneurs amongst yourselves.
Yes.
It's seeming a little bit of a touchy subject when people want to talk about, it's actually the people that I'm in the sector with that are actually not willing to put their hand forward to say, this is what I can do to assist you. Yeah. Are you finding that that's the same struggle that you're having?
So I do think initially that was the, just the kind of stance in general. But I think once I actually approached people, because I think it was a perception thing for me. I honestly believe that's what it was. So once I started approaching people and we were all having these conversations as fellow entrepreneurs facing the same challenges, it was like, okay, cool. Then how do we work together? How, if we are facing cash flow challenges, how do we share resources? If you're sort of production and I do production, how do we share resources? And then you're able to get the content and the product that you need, and I'm able to as well. Or if we need to pitch, and my capabilities or my, our expertise is social media and influencer marketing and kind of, digital marketing, and yours is maybe being like a media buyer, and we don't have that. How do we then work together and partner? So I think once there were like honest conversations behind the scenes, I think people do kind of let their guard down a little bit, and there was opportunity for that, in just understanding that we are in the same position and we want to strengthen ourselves. I will say as well, I do think it is a little bit easier in creative communities than it is in kind of more formal or more corporate or maybe government structures. So, a lot of us, we've grown up together. We've been in the industry for the past 10 years. So there is a little bit of a rapport and just like a mutual respect for each other. So that is what has facilitated those conversations a bit.
A little bit better. Yes. Okay. And then anything that you think was actually a pleasant surprise? Something that you were like, I really thought this would be difficult, but look at me flowing.
That is a good question as well. I think, honestly, like when you start something, you are nervous and you're very cautious about what the reception will be. I think particularly with the publication aspect of the business, I didn't really know how people would respond to me starting my own publication. And it was really, really good. Like there was a whole community that was built around it. The response was just really, really positive. I think people really rallied around that. And I think even to me, it built my confidence just as a creative director, as an editor. And I think that's something that I am very proud of, to be a Black woman in that space where, again, there haven't been a lot of Black women that have been thriving. So that is something I'm very proud of.
That's amazing. That's very good. Goosebumps. Amazing. Okay. Let's maybe touch on your leadership style.
Yes.
You mentioned that the managing of people was a little bit of a I think that you had to learn along the way.
Experience.
Talk us through it and what you would define as your leadership style now.
I think the one thing that I went into, or when you start any business or any kind of project, whatever it is, you assume that everyone has the same passion and work ethic and level of dedication that you have. And that's not always the case. That is not always the case. Some people are literally just there to collect a bag and to collect the check. And I think for me, number one, it was being much better in how I identify talent, how I identify people's values, and if there was just like true synergy in what they wanted and where I was, where the agency was, and where they wanted to go as well, to be realistic, to be like, okay, cool, what is your goal in 6 months, a year from now, 2 years from now? So where we are able to support you, we can do that. Or if there just actually isn't the room for growth that you want at this stage, because we are a smaller business, you know, to be very honest and say, okay, maybe we're not the right place for you. So I think that has been one aspect of it. The other aspect of it that I have found very interesting in having to manage people is that it's not just about the work. It's not just about the output or the productivity. There is an emotional element. You know, people are human beings. They come with their things. They come with their experience. So it has been a learning in how to just manage the emotional part of people as well, to support where there is support that is required, but also where, you know, balance is required, where work is important and deadlines are important, to push that as well. So yeah, that has been the most interesting aspect for me, to be honest.
Okay. And then are you let people just flourish, or are you a bit of a slave driver? You can be honest with me, this is a safe space.
You know, I think I'm very results driven. You know, I think I give a lot of room for creativity. I think you hire people for their talent and their expertise. So for the room where people are able to give their ideas and their input, I love that very much. I do encourage that immensely. But I think deadlines are important, and just managing that process is very important. And I am very stern with those things. So I think it is a balance between kind of giving people freedom and then, like, you know, just kind of be a little bit hardcore with you.
I think also a lot of entrepreneurs don't think about what kind of company culture they want to create in their businesses, right? And then you're finding yourself that the culture is being created for you.
Exactly.
Because you didn't set it out from the very beginning.
100%.
What is your take on that, and how have you sort of tried to be specific and deliberate in how you put forward your company culture to your employees that are coming in?
That's such an excellent point, because I have definitely, starting out, that was experience for me as well. And I think the intentionality has been in, number one, being very specific with the hires as well. I think that has helped immensely to just almost just filter out who's coming in and the energy that they bring, to match where I am, where the current employees are, and where that culture is. So I think that has helped a lot. And then also just being very intentional in, like, the things that you are doing that are not client work. What are you doing to help them also feel like they are, you know, reaching their goals, achieving their goals? That, you know, okay, cool, Amanda, you are interested in, you know, doing a podcast. So for maybe 4 hours in a week, then you are able to access certain resources that we have to also build your own thing, because I do think then that makes you a better, you know, copywriter or better graphic designer, because you also fulfilling the things that make you, you know, excited or kind of drive you. So I think that's been important as well, the mutual support.
Yeah, that is amazing. That is true. That would be great. Employers were investing more in their employees. That would be amazing. Let's talk about money.
Yes.
What was your money lesson that you think this career path has given you so far? Because first of all, what was your relationship with money? Before you started your business, before you started working, what was your interaction with money? Or how was it at home? Did your mother just give you an allowance? How did it work?
So, I mean, I think for myself, I don't come from privilege at all, you know. My father's a hawker. My mom passed away when I was a baby. So from the time I was 18, was just like, okay, cool, we're hustling now. That's what we're doing. You know, there's a part-time job here. There's a part-time job there. When I was at varsity, any promotion that you could do, we were there doing, because that 200 Rand, that 500 Rand was a massive difference. You know, I worked part-time at the mall. There's so many things that I had done. And even when I started my career, even working at agency, there was still like, oh, there's a part-time hustle that you're doing here. I'm writing articles. I'm a part-time editor here. So it's always been important to have almost multiple streams of income to supplement what the base income has been. So that's something that I've always carried into the business as well. However, coming into the business, there was always, as much as there was multiple sources of income, these were very small amounts. These were very, very small amounts. So you then go into a space where you are managing much larger budgets. You have to make them work. You have to make sure clients sees return of investment. And then you also have to manage cash flow. I keep saying that's the biggest lesson that I've learned, has been the cash flow aspect, that there's not always going to be clients that are coming in, and how do you sustain the business when, because our work is almost seasonal. It does feel very seasonal for us, where there are, certain months where a lot of brand campaigns are coming in, and then, Q1 is like, people are, it's the new financial year that's coming in, budgets are limited, no one's opening new things at a certain time, and then how do you hold on the fort? So it has been that the cash flow, sustaining cash flow has been a massive, massive lesson there.
Okay, let's maybe also touch on, I don't know, I'm so curious about your employees, like, I want to come and work at the throne, right? Maybe this is what's happening here. I don't know. It's just the energy that I'm picking up on. There's something. Okay. You do a lot of work. Your business is very much digital, right? It's very much digital based. But a lot of companies are finding it very difficult to strike the balance between introducing technology, especially those traditional kind of structures and formal work that we are always talking about. What do you think are some of the missed opportunities that entrepreneurs are not tapping into when it comes to that world?
So just because I've been, I'm a social media manager, I've been a digital strategist, I've been a content strategist, and I had the opportunity, going back to that experience of working at agency, there's so many tools out there. There are really so many tools that can help assist the business, especially where we are now in 2025 with AI, tools to support your business, to cut costs, to, strengthen what your product offering or your service offering is to clients. So I think there is just a lack of education with some entrepreneurs that I have seen in the tools that are available to them. And it's not even a fault of the entrepreneurs. I just feel like if you haven't been exposed to certain things and you do not know that they exist, you don't know that they can be utilized to strengthen your offering. So I think that has been a big benefit for me, even in influencer marketing. So a big challenge we've seen is that we don't have a tool, we don't have an app, we do everything in-house, and that's been part of kind of what our offering is, because we are on the ground, we understand, we have a lot of relationships, we've managed talent, so we're very close-knit with the community. However, it is very data-driven now, and when you are competing with larger agencies or larger businesses, they have those tools in-house, they can develop those tools, and we don't have that. So even understanding that you can outsource tools like that when you don't have a 10 million rand budget or 5 million rand budget to create your own app, and then give the data and the insights to client, there is a way to almost navigate around that.
Okay, all right. Do you think that entrepreneurs should rather, I don't know, you were talking about outsourcing, but if you don't know what you don't know, right?
Yes.
So what do you think my first step should be? If I'm looking to introduce some kind of a tech element, whether it's just something as simple as a website, what do I need to do? Is it something that you think needs to be prioritized, or is it something that you can just learn along the way as the business grows?
So I do think it is important to prioritize it, but I also do think it's important to balance if you have the financial capacity to take that on at that time. And I think just don't be afraid to reach out to people. I think mentorship, even if it's not official mentorship, but reach out to people, bother people. If you're like, okay, cool, there is someone in the space that I'm at, and they have, the website, they have an app, and I'm at the stage where I want to create that things at some point, go bother that person, reach out. You'll be surprised how open people are to assisting, or just taking a call or having a coffee and saying, no, okay, this is where you are at. You can actually do 1, 2, or 3, and just picking their brains. So don't be afraid to reach out. Don't be afraid to build relationships. Don't be afraid to ask questions, and just, research is really important, but bother people, get mentorship, and that's how you build your network as well, I believe.
Yeah. Okay. Let's talk about what you think the state of marketing influencer is right now. Because when it started, the boom was, we all felt it. It was like a wave, and it hit everybody, and it was just like, what's going on? Yeah. People are dropping out of school, and they want to just do this. Yeah. It was a lot. Yeah. Do you think the hype is still there? And now always the industry a little bit saturated now. It's just stop. It's like, please, guys, be doctors.
So now you're asking me controversial questions, Amanda. Like,
I have to. Giving the people what they want.
Listen, my advice, honestly, I'd say go be a doctor, You can still be a content creator and an influencer with your medical degree.
Fair
you
enough.
Can be a medical influencer, you know what I mean? So it is very controversial. I think there's a lot of discourse that's happening, and a large part of it is negative, unfortunately. People do feel like the space is saturated. Because I've been in the influence marketing space for a good 10 years now, I've seen the birth of it in South Africa. I've seen how it grows. I've seen the birth of influencers from people who, before Instagram was even there, people first getting their first 100, then 1,000, then like 100,000 followers. So because I've watched this evolution happen in the space, I don't feel like it's saturated. I do still feel there is, as much as there is a lot of people, a lot of content creators, there are a lot of brands that are also moving into influencer marketing as well, that it has become, it started off being this almost like tiny add-on to their marketing strategy, where now it's an integral part of your marketing strategy, and it's getting a bigger and bigger chunk of their annual marketing budgets. So traditional marketing campaigns, whatever they're doing on like above the line with radio, with TV, with billboards, budget is decreasing there, and a larger portion of the budget is going to digital, to social media, and to influencer marketing. So because of that, I do think there's still a massive amount of space for growth in the industry. I do think there's even space for more influencers and more content creators. And I think there's opportunity for people to do this full time. I think you have to be very smart. I'm not saying leave your job. I'm not saying drop out of school, but there are people that are making, you can make 10,000 Rand from a campaign. You can make 250,000 Rand from a single campaign. There are people there that are literally making, hundreds of thousands. So it's a space that's still growing, and I think it's going to continue to grow for a long time.
And there's room for everyone.
Definitely.
What's the industry? The space. Happy days. I love it. So even images. There's time. Okay, love it. Okay, let's talk about how, without giving away any of your company secrets, because I want people to join the agency. But if I'm packaging for a specific, I'm trying to target a specific campaign or a specific client, right? What are some of the things I need to take into consideration? What are they looking for?
Okay. So the first thing, and some people don't like this, but you do have to be clear on what your niche is. A brand is going to go to Mbali's page or Caron or Mbana's page, and they want to be able to identify, oh, okay, your niche is food. You work with food, or it's fashion, or it's makeup, or it's cars, whatever it is. And you can have multiple niches. It doesn't have to be one, even if it's three, but you do have to have a clear niche, number one. Number two, you have to have a community. You can't, the conversation can't be one way. It can't be one-dimensional. It can't be just you posting and expecting people to engage and like your post and you're not engaging with them. So there needs to be a community where people really buy into your opinion, that people feel that you are credible when you say, oh, this product is really great because I used it for, a month and these were my results. You must be believable. So it's that you need to have a community, you need to have a niche. And I think you need to be authentic as well. I think we are in a space where a lot of influencers and content creators are overly curating their content, and I think you can have a very beautiful, very aesthetic approach to the work that you do and still be authentic. You must still feel like a person. You must still feel like there's an emotional connection that people have with you. And then I think it's just very important as well to you must have your red cards, you must have your media kits, you must understand who is your audience. That must translate into your media kits. So is your majority of your audience 18 to 25-year-olds that live in metropolitan cities, that use smartphones? Because that's also the information that a brand is going to want and be like, oh, this aligns with our brand because that's our target audience as well. So understanding who your audience is, that stats and that data is super important because that's fundamentally what you're selling when you collaborate with a brand.
Okay, so and does the number of followers that you have then translate into the amount of money that you can charge, or how does that work?
So that is a good question, and I think the perception is a lot of the times that that the number of followers that you have is the most important thing. I think brands have become much more liberal, so they're not always looking for someone that has 100,000 followers. If you have an engaged community, because even if you have 1,000 followers, but you have an active community that like your post, that comment, that if you say, oh, go to this link, they go, that's what brands are looking for. Number two is the engagement rate. So you can't have 100,000 followers and then your engagement rate is like 0.5%, because then, okay, you have followers, but they're not engaging. So it's futile. So if you have a really, really good engagement rate, that's super, super important as well. That also determines how you are able to charge clients. So yeah, it does vary. There's a lot of components, but if you have a few or small community of followers, doesn't mean you necessarily have to charge a client list. It does just depend.
What do you think are some of the opportunities that are coming up in the sector that you think, you didn't see it coming, but when you think about it, actually in the year 30, something big is coming with regards to what this industry looks like now?
So the interesting development, and specifically speaking to like influencer marketing and then the aspect of social media and even digital marketing, it's almost been this idea, and AI as well. So it's this idea of like AI influencers now coming into the space, I don't know. I'm still trying to understand it myself. Is it credibility? I think now it does just feel like it's very new. It feels weird. It feels awkward. But brands are looking to that a lot. And it will be interesting to see how that impacts the market, how that impacts real life content creators, what happens to budgets if a brand is able to just create an influencer, AI influencer and content creator. So yeah, I think that's a development that it's something I don't see coming, but I'm fascinated and intrigued by it.
Okay. I asked you in the beginning what you thought entrepreneurship was. Knowing what you know today, what is it to you now? What does it mean to you now? And would you do it all again?
So I would do it all again. I really would.
All of it?
All of it, even the tears, even the, the swearing, the falling apart, I really would do it. I honestly believe entrepreneurship is a calling. I honestly believe it. There's an interesting thing when you read a lot of these books or these books or autobiographies by a lot of these famed entrepreneurs or business people. And a question they'll always pose is what actually makes an entrepreneur? What defines an entrepreneur? Is an entrepreneur born or is an entrepreneur made? But I believe entrepreneurship is a calling. I believe entrepreneurship is about, I see everything else, but I feel like you can learn everything else. I think if you have grit, if you have tenacity, if you have ambition and drive, and you're able to just stay in the ring, just stay in, no matter what's happening, no matter what the fight is, you're able to be there, be in the ring. I believe that's what defines entrepreneur. Can you take the punches?
Can you take the punches? And what do you think is maybe a potential risk to entrepreneurship? It can be more than one because we live in South Africa and the risks are many.
The thing with entrepreneurship, it's not stable, number one. It is not stable. So if you don't have something to fall back on, it's a massive risk. You can lose it. We've heard the stories of people who lose everything. Yeah. So there is that. There is the challenge with entrepreneurship, even in, this is the thing they'll say, if you're an entrepreneur, it's harder for you to go to a bank and say, oh, I want to buy a car or I want to buy a house. Someone who's employed by you is able to get that faster than you're able to get because they look at you as a risk. So I think there's another part of it. Yeah. And I think another thing, entrepreneurship it really does just take over your entire life. There is no real separation. If you are an entrepreneur, you will live and breathe this. There's no 9 to 5. There's no clocking in. There's no guarantee that at the end of the month, I'm getting the salary. So there is a lot of risks that come with it. There are things that you can, I think, protect yourself against it. But there's a lot of risk.
Just know that it's unstable.
It's unstable.
And yet you guys are all in it. The people that sit on this chair, it's amazing. Look, you guys, I'm always just like, how are they doing it? Yeah. So let's talk about mental health.
Yeah, okay, that's a good question.
Because a lot of people talk about, I think maybe a few entrepreneurs have, not enough though, tap into what this kind of sector does to your mental health.
Absolutely. No, it will break you. It will really break you. It will really break you. I think even to myself, it has impacted my mental health. I will be honest about that. But I think, again, the things that have assisted in that is having a support system that helps immensely. I think once you start learning and understanding, there's almost a transition that goes where you identify from being an entrepreneur to a business person. Once you're able to structure this idea and you in your personal capacity into a business, there is a lot of protection that comes with that, and that does help your mental health as well in that process. And I think just a lot of conversations having a community of other entrepreneurs as well, having that counsel, having those people that you can speak to and say, I'm facing 1, 2, 3, and learning and understanding that they have faced the exact same thing. So that has been really important to me, that I'm able to speak to agency owners that I love and I respect, and, I'm inspired by the work and I can get advice from them. And that helps as well. That has helped immensely. And I think just like the mental fortitude that you form over the years, going back to this idea of grit, of tenacity, this almost intangible part of being an entrepreneur. Once you're able to mentally build that around yourself, I think you are able to navigate the mental health challenges or aspects that come, which are very difficult to face. But you're able to navigate them much better.
Okay, let's talk about some of you mentioned a bit earlier on about just your support structure, right?
Yes.
But talk us through who makes up the third agency, because you don't work alone, right? You've got a team that's behind you, that you guys work to daily, that make up what the company is today. Who are those people?
So we are a very, very small team. So it's a team of 5 people who are employed full time.
Okay.
They work remotely with the business. So that will be like our graphic designers, influencer talent managers, account managers that assist with the day-to-day running. And then we have a large pool of freelancers. I think that's how, for me, I've been able to manage almost the cash flow aspect of it, where you have people that you use for, if we have a shoot or we have a campaign, I'm able to call someone in, and that reduces the monthly kind of cost or expense that we have. So there's a big community of writers, of photographers, of retouchers, of stylists that we are able to tap into, and that's just kind of part of the community that makes up the Throne.
I love that. Emotional stakeholders of the Throne. Love it. Okay, let's give entrepreneurs that are listening, from wherever that they are listening, tips, things that you think, what? First, if you're starting out, this is what you need to at least get yourself out the door, whether in a corporate situation or you just have a dream at this point, at just a dream level. What are some of the things that they need to take into consideration for them to make that leap?
So number one, you need to be clear on what the offering of your business is. I think a lot of people have an idea, but they're not actually clear on what that translates to as a product or offering or a service that you are selling to client. Earlier on in the discussion, you spoke about what is your elevator pitch. So you need to be clear on that. I think number 2 is just the assets of the business, understanding, okay, cool, do you have a corporate identity? Do you have a CI? Do you have websites? Do you have a logo? Do you have a presentation doc that you're able to give to people to say, this is who we are? So I think those things are really important as well. I think also just being clear on, or not being scared to reach out. How do you build or identify who your clients are, who your customer base are, and what is your plan to reach out, to target them? And also I go back to mentorship as well. I think don't be afraid to reach out to people to get guidance and get advice when you are starting out, because there are gems that you will get here. It will help you from making so many mistakes that we've passed through, that we've learned the hard way. So build that network as well with mentors, and even network across other people who are doing the same thing as you, learn from them as well. I think those are super important things.
For people who want to get hold of you, where can they do that?
Oh my goodness.
It always trip you guys up. But so it's the email that you use every day.
No, yes. So, there are the social media platforms. It is Caron Kganyago on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn. And then, you can email me as well. It's Caron, CARON, @thethrone.co.za. We also have a website, thethrone.co.za, thethrone.co.za, that you can go on as well. So, that's where we can be reached.
Lovely.
Oh, and the Throne agency as well. All the social media platforms, the Throne mag as well. Yeah.
Lovely, lovely. Ladies and gentlemen, the sister on the throne. This is Caron Kanyago. Thank you.
Thank you so much.